welcome to this Penchant Socialites. This is edition number 4, I think. It's all a little bit mixed up. This was meant to be a session with my beautician, which I said I'd get set up, and we've already done it. It's in the can. But something occurred this week which really disturbed me, and I thought I can't wait to record this. I needed to do it pretty quickly, just express the upset with which it caused me. So this session is one I've been dying to do. It's about my array of HRT medications. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story of how I began and where I am now. And there's some interesting twists in it that, I've been fortunate enough to have here in Canada that I now realize, following the call on Tuesday, aren't available to girls in the UK. So I really want to talk about that, and I'm not an angry person. I just refuse to let anger sap my energy, but I'm concerned as someone who will be transitioning their care from Canada to the UK at the lack, and that's probably the best word to use, the lack of options for transgender girls. And it's important we expose it. It's really important we expose this, and whether anything will be done about it, I don't know. But I want it to be known that the service transgender girls get, and probably transgender guys too, is substandard. It's substandard to what it is here in Canada. And the biggest concern for me is the follow-up, the checking, the blood work that appears to be really tough in the UK. And we talk about people's health and well-being, so the most obvious thing is we get filled up with drugs and all sorts of things, but to get a check done to see what they're doing to your body, it's easy here in Canada, and I'll tell you a few stories about how it has worked for me. But in the UK, it seems as if you've got to beg, steal, and do whatever you can to get blood work done. And that's just not acceptable. And perhaps with this video, I can begin to help shine an ever bright light on that situation. But before we begin, I love Dr. Maya Angelou, and my favorite poem was written by her. And I thought I'd start with it because there's a mystery, is there not, about transgender women? There is a mystery, and it's a lovely mystery if you go with the flow, if you like. It's there to be enjoyed. And I just want to share this first verse. When we get to the end of the session, I'll read you the last verse, because that's gorgeous too. But the first verse says, "People wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. So I say, it's in the reach of my arms, it's in the span of my hips, it's in the stride of my step, it's in the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally." Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that gorgeous? And I think that's what we're all trying to achieve. We're trying to realize our womanhood, and yes, we're doing it in a different way, especially like me, who transitioned late in life, and that was a personal choice. I wasn't deprived of anything. I made my mind up that I wanted to see my kids, at the very least, away to university, and I've achieved that, and that was it. So I'm now realizing my authentic self, and it is It's incredible. I just tingle at the thought of being my authentic self, and I'm sure you do too. So I think we'll use this session in the main to talk about the older girls transitioning as opposed to the young ones, and I'm not saying it's any easier or any harder. What I would say is, and this is me, we don't have a lot of time to get to where we want to be, and it's a rush. I'll be honest with you. For me, it's a rush, and a lot of the emotion I experienced on Tuesday, I'll relate to. I'll summarize it in just a moment. Had to do with that lack of sense of urgency and the dismay I experienced when I felt no compassion from the other person at the end of the line, that when I asked about certain things, and one in particular, it was a case of I just have to join the queue and wait. And that particular experience for me is my reassignment surgery. Having waited 61 years, and then to be told you'll go on a waiting list like everybody else, and you'll possibly wait 2 to 3 years to have your reassignment surgery if you get it done on the NHS. And as I say, there wasn't any option. That was it. And I'll be frank with you, I burst out in tears. I became very emotional. You don't come all of this way for somebody coldly to tell you at the end of the line it's a 2 or 3 year wait. So I said I'm not waiting 2 to 3 years. This will be done next year. So whether I manage to get it done on the NHS or whether I have to go private, it will be done. And I think some of these healthcare professionals don't get it. They go home and they switch off, which is great. That's what we want them to do. We don't. We live with it every minute, every second of every day, that we are incomplete, that we are not the person we want to be. And the callousness of it and the lack of compassion for me is not what you expect from a professional who deals with transgender people. And maybe once we get through this video, I'll use it to help push our case forward. So there you go. There's my wee protest. So let's get into the meds. So I began meds on December the 4th. 2018, and with the gorgeous Dr. Joyce Curtis, I'm sure she doesn't mind me mentioning her name, who took me in, and I went in with all of my psychologist's letters to say that as far as they were concerned, after examination, that I was ready to begin on HRT, and yes, I certainly was. And off we went. Now, being at the slightly older age end of the scale, it was a case of, well, let's just ease it out and see how you get on, because whilst I was ready for the rush, the 100-meter sprint to the end of the line, your body may not necessarily be ready to take it. So it was a case of just gently, and see how it goes. So from my array of boxes and things here, so what I've got in my hand here is, no, let's start with these first. Spirolactone anti-androgen tablets, which effectively block testosterone and block, all of those male things that go on in your body to a degree, okay? So I began taking 50 mils of Spiro, and I was on patches, 37.5 milligrams once a week, which I stuck down here, um, near my waist. There's lots of advice around it, but that's where I decided to go. You can put it on your arm, or you can put it on your hip. On your thigh, and you can do all of that, but it's your choice, and I chose to put it on my waist. So that was my starter kit. And eventually it changed. We went to 50 milligram patches, and Spiro was stepped up to 100 and then on to 200, which I think is a kind of normal dosage. And my observation would be, I would say after 3 months, yes, there was some lovely tingling going on up here in my chest, where my breasts are. And I would say to a large degree, any twitching down below, shall we say, was pretty much subdued, but it wasn't gone. And it was at that point I switched over to Dr. Linda Chow to take care of my medication onward. And when I met her, I said to her, listen, I have a very embarrassing thing. Quite often in the morning when I wake up, I think of Jack Whiteman and his dad, and an expression that they use, but I'll not use it here, but it's just comical. But I had minor erections going on down there, and for me personally, I'm not saying every transgender woman is the same, but I found it awful. It was just awful. I didn't want it. I want away with all of that gear, and to have it functioning to some degree was an utter embarrassment for me, and I just found the whole thing very, very unpleasant. So 200 mils of spironolactone went to 12.5 mils of cyproteron a day. Took the spiro away completely for a little while. And this is prostate cancer treatment stuff. So what they do, they take a 50 milligram tablet and they chop it up into 4 little pieces, very cleverly done. And you take a quarter a day. And very powerful, very powerful. The only problem was my ankles were swelling up. They look like those little life things you get to put around your arms, you know. I just wasn't moving my water. Spiro is a major diuretic, so 200 mils of Spiro was shifting water, you know, often going up to the bathroom to relieve myself. But it was fine. So it wasn't as bad as made out. It was made out to be. Okay. So what the endocrinologist did was kept me on 12.5 of cyproteron, did the job I wanted it to do, put me back on 100 mil of Spiro to act as a diuretic and to remove the water. And to a point, it's been absolutely fine. But it just goes to show how your body reacts, and I think that's the key thing. The other thing I would say as well, that whilst I was on the patches, the estradiol patches, I was called in to talk about results from my blood work. But before I get to that, in Canada, you don't have to beg for blood work to be done. You don't have to wonder where you're going to get it done. It's done naturally. Every 3 months without fail, I go to the blood work clinic and I get my bloods done. And the results are back with the doctor within a week. And if there's anything there which is untoward, you're called in and discuss your treatment. Isn't that fabulous? Because I know from a lot of the correspondence I get from the girls in the UK, and I see from the girls in the UK, it's not offered to them. It's not a natural thing. I just find that absolutely shocking. They give you the inputs, but they don't measure the outputs. So how do they know whether someone's suffering or not? In my case, my potassium levels were way too high. Whether it was down to the medication, we don't necessarily know, but it was too high. And I just came off a lot of the foods. Bananas, for example, drive potassium levels up. Avocados drive your potassium levels up. And I wasn't going to sacrifice these girls. They were staying, right? And I decided that my diet would change. And it worked. It got my potassium levels back down to where they needed to be. So all good, all good. Pace. I said to you, wasn't happy with the pace, and I always used to love going in to see Dr. Chow and saying, it's not happening fast enough. Come on, what can you see here? The muscle in my arm isn't depleting fast enough. What I was seeing was a depletion of the hair on my body, which is fabulous. So it was in the balance. Some things working for you, some things not. But the things that worked for the things you wanted to be accelerated. So after a lot of discussion, the first major move we made was a shift to these babes here. So this is what I'm going to show you here is estradiol valerate. Now it's a vial, it's a compound liquid oil that's made up, especially not for me per se, but it's a special compound for girls who are trying to accelerate things along. And this is dispensed through injections. So I inject 0.5 milliliters twice a week. So I do it on a Sunday and I do it on a Thursday. And I do it here in my thigh. It's an intermuscular treatment. And the beauty of this is it's not going in your liver. You're not losing 90% of the goodness in your liver. It's going straight into your blood, and I can tell you, it works. It works because I mixed me up a bit in terms of my emotions. A number of people will tell you. But I could tell immediately that a lot of my ego was going, a lot of those kind of male things that go through your mind were going, and most importantly, you're starting to see a little bit of shift in your weight. Still got a bit of a tummy, and I'm wondering why it's there, and it's not down on my hips, but we'll perhaps talk about that another day, and greater breast development. So at the moment, or 3 months ago, I was sitting at a 38A cup, and could just about fill an A cup, just about. But here's the story. This is the funny thing, right? That I do a lot of research, as I'm sure a number of you girls do. And one of the things I noticed about my breast development was it was very conical, very conical. It was conical around the actual breast itself and also the nipple, so it was kind of beginning to look like cone upon cone. And when I went in to see Dr. Chow, I said, I feel like Madonna. Do you remember Madonna in the 80s where she had that comical bra? Well, I would have filled one of those beautifully, absolutely beautifully, maybe not to the extent she did. But that's not what we're looking for. It's not what we're looking for, and I think you've got to be honest with your endocrinologists, your doctors, and if you're unhappy, you have to tell them. And I did, and I said, no, this isn't working. And through the research, the there is particularly a doctor down in the US who I would say is probably more on the adventurous side, which kind of works for me. I'll be as adventurous as I need to be to get where I want to go. Obviously, there are boundaries, and maybe I'm kind of skirting up against some of those boundaries, but come on, I'm 62 years of age. Goodness knows what could happen. I'm ready to take a little bit of risk. Whereas maybe if you're down at the younger age, I'm not saying you wouldn't take the risk, but you've got less perhaps need in terms of time to do so. So I'm ready to go. So I did loads of research on so how do I get my breasts to move from what is known technically on the Tanner range. So the Tanner range expresses plumpness and fullness of breast, and through normal medication, a transgender woman, if they're lucky, probably gets to a Tanner 2, Tanner 3. A fully developed woman gets to a Tanner 4 or a Tanner 5, and that's where the fullness comes in. So I'm adamant, I'm going to be a Tanner 4 and a Tanner 5, but I'm not going to have breast augmentation. I'm not judging it, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. Of course you should do it if that's what you want to do. All I'm saying is that's not the way I want it to go. I want to grow these babies naturally. So loads of research, and kind of a long story short, ended up going on progesterone. Now these are 100 milligram balls. Let me show you one. There, if you can see it, it's a ball, and I take one of those a day. Now after all of the research, I did mine, because some of this stuff is in court at the moment, where a lot of people have had very poor side effects from this, and you need to be careful. If you do consider this, you need to be careful. So we researched it, and we came upon a certain type which is believed to be pretty safe, and I've begun taking them. And I can tell you, after 3 months, God, I hope my endocrinologist does not listen to this, I measure myself every month, and they're growing. They are growing again. Maybe a little lopsidedly. The left one seems to be making good strides compared to the right one. So this one here needs to buck our ideas up and sprout a bit more. But it does work. It does work. Now, when I was on the call Tuesday, here's where I got very emotional. In the UK, there's no problem with the anti-androgens. When it comes to my estradiol valerate, can't have it. I can't have it. It's not available in the United Kingdom. And that just shocks me. Your options are pill, orally, or patch, dermatologically. The pill, you lose 90% of the goodness in your liver, and at the same time harm your liver. You get 10% of the goodness of your estrogen with a pill. I ask, what's the point of that? What is the point of that? If it's a nice decision, in other words, it's economically the way the UK want to go, it's an economic decision. It's as simple as that. It's not what's best for transgender girls. That isn't how it works in Canada. Okay, I have to pay a little towards this. I don't mind. It's really nothing in the overall scheme of things. But that is compounded, not here in Nova Scotia. That's compounded in New Brunswick. And that's shipped into me here in my apartment. Now, I am not going to give it up. And the health clinic have been so gorgeous with me, as has the compounding pharmacy in New Brunswick. I'll secure a year's supply of those, and then we'll figure out where we go from there. But isn't that marvelous? Isn't that marvelous? And that's so different from the very cold approach I got when I was on the phone on Tuesday. No compassion, nothing. It's not available to you. And then when it comes to the progesterone, same story. Don't offer it in the UK. There's no evidence to say it works. Well, let me tell you, it does. And I am my own evidence that since I began taking this, that I have seen significant movement, as I say, my left breast, not necessarily in my right breast. So I'm in the glorious position here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, that the treatment I enjoy here in terms of meds and in terms of checkups, blood tests, is unbelievable. And I've only just begun to realise it. And something needs to be done in the UK, because what's on offer is not satisfactory. So to pull it all together, on that call, and I suppose this is where I really broke down, to be told that I have to wait 2 to 3 years for gender reassignment surgery if I want to get it done on the NHS, not going to happen. It'll be done next year if I have to pay for it. Us older transgender women need to get on. I say often I'm my authentic self. I'm not. I'm incomplete. And until everything down below is put right and put how it should be, I'm never going to be my full authentic self. And every day it just plays on my mind more and more. I counter it with those broader thoughts of, it's happening next year, I'll figure it out, whether I come back here to get it done and pay for it, whether I go to Belgium, to Ghent, and get it done there by a renowned surgeon, whether I get it done in the UK, or whether I go elsewhere. And I would love to hear from any trans girls who've got recommendations on options that I could consider. We should reach out to one another, and we should support one another. But am I going to wait 2 or 3 years? No chance. Absolutely no chance. And I would support anybody else with a similar view. So there we are. That's a walk through my current array of HRT meds and how I've arrived at where I am at the moment. I'm very satisfied. I know all my indices are sitting in the right places now. It's a little while since I've had my bloods done, because I thought I'd be traveling back in June. Hasn't proven to be the case. I will contact my doctor early next week and see what we're going to do. But all in all, I'm a gorgeously happy girl, and all of the right things are kind of happening. As I said, I had my first HRT treatment on the 4th of December 2018. So I'm about 18 months in, and I'm delighted with the progress. I suspect it's going to be a 2 to 3 year journey before I'm beginning to say things are pretty much where I want them to be. But listen, it's fabulous. It's fabulous to think where I was 2 years ago to think where I am now. So I'm not going to complain at all. What I am going to complain about is the disparity between the UK and Canada. So I used this in an article That was published Pride Month this month in one of the newspapers called the Coast. And I wanted to use this to say thank you to the people of Halifax, but I think it works for us all. So I'll read it out and then just draw it to a close. So again, it's the last verse of the poem by Maya Angelou called Phenomenal Women. So now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care. 'Cause I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal women, that's me, and that's you too. So from me, Penny, Catherine, God bless you all, and I hope this has been very helpful. Bye-bye.